Yo, what is good, everyone? Happy Monday. Hope y'all had a nice weekend. Today I'm going to be breaking down the Nhl Dfs slate for October 31st. We got ourselves just a 3-game slate here tonight, where I'm going to go through a couple of my favorite line stacks, some of my favorite individual plays, and some of my favorite value plays. With that being said, let's dive right into my spreadsheet here. And we're going to kick things off here like we always do in the top left-hand corner with those highest implied game totals. We got just one of these games coming in with an implied total of 6.5 goals, other two coming in at 6, and then you can see the Hurricanes, Sabres, and Blues are all favored to win here tonight. Now, before I dive into a couple of my favorite line stacks here, you might be asking yourself, Griff, are you wearing makeup right now? The answer would be yes. Me and a few of my buddies went as Motley Crue for Halloween. Let me show you a picture right here. Had ourselves a great night. Still kind of paying for it this morning, but I cannot get the makeup off my face. Took a shower, used wet wipes. And so here I am with kind of a raspy voice and eyeliner and mascara on. So bear with me on this video. We'll get back to some normal things tomorrow. With that said, let's dive into these line stacks here. And one of my favorites tonight is that second line for the St. Louis Blues. We got Thomas centering Buchnevich and Tarasenko. A line stack I targeted quite often last year when they play together. The upside has definitely been there. A lot of chemistry with these three. And I love the correlation of all of these three guys playing up on the number one power play, especially in a matchup like this against the LA Kings, who have a league-high 52 minor penalties through 10 games. So they're averaging around 5 minor penalties per game, which should put these three out on the special teams quite a bit here tonight, on top of playing big minutes together, 5-on-5. And then another line stack I like here tonight is that first line for the Buffalo Sabres. We got Thompson centering Skinner and Tuck. Now, all three of these guys playing up on the number one power play as well, so some really strong correlation there. Against a Red Wings team here that has struggled on the penalty kill over their past 5 games, just hitting at a 73.3% rate. And this Sabres power play has really found some success here over their past 5 games, damn near scoring at a 30% rate. So I like how this matchup is trending for them. These guys play big minutes together 5-on-5 as well and have multiple point upside, especially in a matchup like this. Now, folks, before we dive into some of my favorite individual plays here, if you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. I'm going to have hockey content coming out for you guys all year long. All right, now let's dive into these individual plays here. We're going to kick it off with the forwards, and I'm going to highlight these first two together with Andrei Svechnikov and Martin Necas. Now, look, you could put in their center here too with Jesperi Kotkaniemi. He just really hasn't been all that productive. However, he is very cheap if you want to put him in this line stack. But these two have been very productive together on that second line and up on that number one power play. Svechnikov through 8 games has 7 goals, 2 assists, and Necas is looking like he's having a breakout year with 5 goals, 6 assists, 11 points in his first 8 games. So the multiple point upside definitely there with those two, and a good home matchup tonight against the Washington Capitals. Now, obviously, DraftKings does not like Adrian Kempe as much as I do, but I've talked about this a handful of times already this year. If you're going to give me this guy in the 4K range, he is going to be on my radar. Let's talk about Gabriel Vilardi here as well, who recently got bumped up to that first line with Kempe and Kopitar. Kopitar's in the 4K range. You could roll these guys out as a cheaper line stack, especially with all of them playing up on the number one power play too. Kempe's got 6 goals, 2 assists, 8 points in 10 games so far, and Vilardi, just like Martin Necas, is kind of having a breakout year right now. 7 goals, 4 assists, 11 points in his first 10 games. So you're getting two really cheap guys here who play big minutes, up on the number one power play, have been able to score goals and get on the score sheet at a pretty frequent pace to start the season. And then I got Lucas Raymond there of the Detroit Red Wings, who's also a solid value play here tonight. And for what it's worth, at the 4 position, there is a lot of value in the 4 to 5K range, so I do like that. Raymond here kind of broke out of his shell last game against the Minnesota Wild. Detroit ended up winning that game 2-1. Raymond had both goals in that game and 7 shots on net, racked up 30.5 DraftKings points. So I'm hoping that he can kind of build on that momentum here tonight. A guy who's going to play up on that first line, play on the number one power play, and should log about 19 plus minutes here tonight. Now, moving over here to the defensemen, and I do prefer to pay up for this position here tonight, considering there's really not a lot of value that I'm in love with, and there's quite a bit of value at the forward position. One guy I would would be willing to pay up for is Rasmus Dahlin of the Buffalo Sabres, and I'd mix him in with that first line that I highlighted earlier of Thompson, Tuck, and Skinner, with all four of these guys playing up on the number one power play. Again, Detroit hasn't been great on the penalty kill as of late, and Buffalo has found success on the power play, and Dahlin's just been super successful all year, really. 5 goals, 5 assists, 10 points in 8 games. He's averaging over 3 shots on net per game, over 2 block shots per game, really just getting it done in a number of different ways, which has led to him averaging 18.5 DraftKings points per game through 8 games this season. Another defenseman I'd be willing to pay up for here tonight is Brent Burns of the Carolina Hurricanes. He's got 2 goals, 4 assists, 6 points in his first 8 games with his new team, but logging really big minutes, about 23 plus minutes per night, plays up on that number one power play, and actually has goals in back-to-back games, so I'm hoping that he can build on that momentum as well. You could stack him up with Martin Necas, Andrei Svechnikov, mix in a Sebastian Aho. Again, just target some of the power plays on this 3-game slate. We need to find ways to get unique with our lineups. One way to do that is pair some of these defensemen with 3 or 4 forwards from the same team. And that's exactly what I'm doing here with Torrey Krug as well, stacking him up with Robert Thomas, Tarasenko, Buchnevich, all 4 of those guys getting time up on the number one power play, again against that Kings team who is not afraid to take penalties. Now, I really do like Justin Falk tonight as well. He is off to a tremendous start this year, but technically plays down on the number 2 power play with Jordan Kyrou, Ryan O'Reilly. If you want to stack those guys up, I have no issue with that. I really just prefer that second line that I talked about earlier, so it makes sense to pair them with Krug. And then I got Jacob Slavin there of the Carolina Hurricanes, and unfortunately, we're not going to be stacking him up with any of the power plays tonight, but still a guy who logs big minutes, should play about 22 plus minutes here tonight, does get time on the penalty kill, and at $4,200, he's a guy that can hit 3-4x value at this current price. In fact, he's actually hit double-digit DraftKings points here in 4 of his last 5 games, and he might be flying under the radar a little bit considering he doesn't really get any time on the power play. We could get him at lower ownership, and we need to look for those guys as well, considering it is a 3-game slate. Like I said, I prefer to spend up at the defenseman position here tonight, but Slavin does carry some nice value. And then with the goalies here, I'm not entirely sure if it's going to be Comrie or Anderson who starts tonight for the Buffalo Sabres, but thankfully, both guys are priced at $7,900, so I could highlight them at the same time. Yeah, I've mentioned this in the past a handful of times already this year, actually. These smaller slates, 3-game slates, really, we could make a case to roster any one of these goaltenders. It comes down to what the rest of your lineup is going to look like. So again, if I want to roll out a bunch of Detroit Red Wings tonight, then no, it doesn't make sense to play Comrie or Anderson. But this is kind of the goalie tandem that I'm leading towards here. Both have been solid so far this year. We've seen 66 goalies play an NHL game this year, and they currently rank 15th and 18th in goals save above expected. So they are saving more goals than they should be allowing. You really do like to see that. And the Buffalo Sabres just allow a lot of shots on general, so they should see a lot of rubber go their way to where they can rack up solid DraftKings points. They get the win on top of that, even better. And as always, going to wrap up this spreadsheet here with 3 low-priced options or sub-4K forward plays. First guy I got there is Victor Arvidsson of the Los Angeles Kings, playing on that second line in number 2 power play. It took him a while to get going this year, didn't look great to start the season, but has started to find his groove here over his last 3 games, where he's racked up 2 goals and 2 assists while hitting 13 plus DraftKings points in each one of those games. Now you could stack him up with Trevor Moore of the LA Kings, both those guys playing on the second line and number 2 power play. For what it's worth, Philip Deneau is also in the 3K range. You could roll that out as a second line stack at a very cheap price. All 3 of those guys playing on the number 2 power play too, so you do get some really strong correlation there. Trevor Moore's got 1 goal, 6 assists, 7 points through 10 games. Again, just a really cheap stack here with those guys that have 3 to 5x upside at their current prices. And then I got Marcus Johansson there of the Washington Capitals. This is primarily an opportunity play at a good cost of $3,000 because he's currently playing about 17 plus minutes per night, up on that second line with Kuznetsov and Oshie, and up on the number 1 power play. He's got a tough matchup here on the road against the Carolina Hurricanes. I do understand that, but again, this is primarily an opportunity play here. A guy that's got 2 goals, 3 assists, 5 points through 9 games, with 3 of those points coming on the power play. And then to wrap up this video here, I want to talk a little prize picks with you guys. And as I record here this morning, they actually have quite a few picks out and quite a few picks that are sticking out to me here early on as well. I'll go through these pretty quickly, but you guys know the drill. Once I do my final research, I'll let you know my final prize picks in a comment below on this video, and I'll be sure to pin that comment as well. Now, first one I got there is Dylan Strome under half a point. Now, really tough matchup on the road against Carolina, so I'm definitely going to be looking into that one. Rasmus Dahlin and Alex Tuch both over 2.5 shots on net. Definitely don't mind that. And then going towards the bottom here, Justin Falk over 2.5, as well as Gabriel Velarde over 2.5. Even Bushnevich here over 2.5 looks interesting. So quite a few picks that are catching my eye early on here, but again, I'll let you know my final picks in a comment below on this video. Now, for those of you who have not signed up for Prize Picks yet, but want to get in on this action, I got a promo code that you should definitely be taking advantage of. When you're signing up, use my promo code GRIFF. GRIFF, and Prize Picks will give you all the way up to a $100 match deposit. Again, you don't have to put $100 in. You want to put in 50, they'll match 50. You want to put in 20, they'll match 20. They will match anything up to $100. Again, as long as you're using my promo code GRIFF, GRIFF, upon signing up. Alright everyone, that is going to wrap up this video here for today. As always, thank y'all for taking the time out of your day to watch the content here on this channel. If you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. Let's have ourselves a great day here, folks. Let's win some money here on this 3-game slate. I'm out of here.